Welcome back to Questing Beast. Today we're making another map making tutorial. This time we're going to focus on forests once again. It's been a while since I made a forest related video, and that's because I just discovered a new technique that I am really liking. So this technique focuses on drawing all of the individual trees in a forest. And I tried this once or twice and it was basically exhausting. It took forever. So what I was doing originally was I have like a number 3 micron here. And I was just drawing little trees, basically something like this. You draw little points and then you put a little, trunk on the bottom there, like so. And I just kept doing this for as long as I needed to do. Now, the advantages of doing a forest like this are that being able to see each tree nice and tiny like this gives you a sense of scale. It makes it seem more like a forest that's spread out and has different levels of density, rather than just being one big blob of trees like I did with a cloud technique, if you want to call it that, or it's just one big fluffy mass of trees. Of course, the disadvantage is that this takes forever, especially since each tree is several little strokes that you have to go through. It just takes up a lot of time. So there's got to be a faster way to do this. And the faster way I discovered was not to use these skinny pens, but instead to use this, which is a brush pen. Now, I got all these microns recently thanks to my Patreon supporters. And I will put a link down in the description below if you want to get the same ones that I have here. But this brush pen is fantastic. I'll show you why. It's nice and skinny and thin like that. And it has to be very sharp. You need a really sharp brush pen for this to work. And basically what it does is it allows you to make these little trees all in one stroke. So you need to hold the pen so that it's, close to being horizontal to the page. You don't really want to poke down. You want more like that. And then you just have like these little strokes, like so. And what it does is it instantly creates these skinny little shapes that are pointier at the top and fatter on the bottom. And by doing that, I can very, very quickly create a forest of what looks like conifers, pine trees, and those sorts of things. It doesn't do, fluffy, deciduous type trees as well, but I think it's a good stand-in actually for most types of forests. Look how fast I can do that. I can basically just sort of plop the pen down and I get a tree shape. I can very quickly brush in a forest, and I can very quickly control the density of the forest. I can have a bunch of trees close together like right here, and it looks like it's a very deep, dark part of the forest, and then I can spread it out more as I get near the edges. So I have a very realistic looking forest very quickly. Like so. I really love this look. It looks great if you're going for a more detailed look for your map. Something that's less abstract and something that feels more grounded, if you will. And you can add a little name to it or whatever you want. I found this is the easiest way to do forests in this style. And then I discovered something else, because although this looks pretty great to me, if you add shading, it looks even better. So these are by Sakura, which is the same company that makes the, or by Pigma rather, which is the same company that does these micron pens. But these are Koi, which is a different brand. Again, I'll put a link in the description below to where you can find these. And it just has shades of gray all done in a brush pen, which is perfect for map making, which I tend to all want to do in black and white. But the brush shape allows me to do things that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. And it gives it a bit of a watercolored feel, which I think is great. And you want the lightest possible one here. So I'm going to use this one, which I think is the lightest one. Yeah. And what you do, if you want, is you brush in the shading, because these trees are fairly tall and they're going to cast a lot of shadows. So an area in a forest is going to be a bit darker. So you just shade it in, right around where the trees are. And because it's a brush pen, this is pretty fast to do. It's like a marker, but it's a bit wetter than a marker. Now, I'm doing this when the trees aren't totally dry, so normally you want to wait for the trees to dry a bit. But hopefully you get the idea. By creating these little pools of shadow, you more clearly delineate where the forest is, and you set it apart from the rest of the map. Now, this is also good to do on thicker cardstock. I have a normal piece of printer paper here, but thicker cardstock is going to be able to take the ink a bit better, and it's not going to soak into the paper as much. And because that can tend to warp it if it's very thin paper, but on cardstock, this looks especially good. So there you go. When you do that, you can have a bunch of different forests, and then you just shade them in, and they look like distinct zones because of the shading, but the individual trees make them look very precise and detailed. So all in all, this is my favorite new method for drawing forests. It's quite quick, and the effect is fantastic in my opinion. So that's it. That's all I have for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this and that it helps you draw some better maps. Leave any tips below if you have any great ideas for drawing forests, because I'm always looking for new techniques. Check out the links in the description if you want to know where to buy these pens. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.